Hello. Here at the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington, every day and every way, we bid you welcome. In this community of radical inclusion, we make space for what you believe, who you are, what you love, and who you love. Your whole self is welcome here. It is important that you showed up today. Gathering in community is an act of rebellion against isolation and hopelessness. Knowing this to be true, please repeat after me. We are rebels for hope. We are rebels for hope. And that we are. My name is Ellen Greenya, and I'm your service leader today. My pronouns are she, they. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether enjoying the service in person or watching online. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. We're so glad you've joined us. Please take a moment now to silence any digital devices you have nearby and bring your attention to this time together. We have a bunch of announcements. This afternoon, Sunday, March 22nd, come hear Diana Munch and Jennifer and Willis Koa play some of their favorite music. Be transported and entertained by this charming cello and piano concert. This was an auction event. If you did not bid on it, you can still attend. Simply purchase your ticket at the door for $20. Children are free. The concert starts at 4 p.m., followed by a reception in Adams Hall. Thanks to everyone who submitted their pledge by March 7th for early bird drawing. The pledges received so far represent approximately 60% of the UUCF community and our goal. Please take a look at our tapestry in front of the chalice table and the hearts that have been placed on it. Each heart represents a pledge that has been made and will continue to be made. Remember that the deadline for all pledges is April 6th. Becca Seaton will now come up for an announcement from the nominating committee.
Good morning. Becca Seaton, she, her. I am the chair of the nominating committee because it's that time of the year again, folks, where we have job openings. So we are currently this year looking for someone to join the board. Don't be intimidated. Technically, it is Katie's president position that is opening, but other board members are willing to move around in order to make the new person feel like they have a job they can handle. It is not that big of a deal, but it is important for the running of our church. So please step up. If you're interested, come talk to me or any member of the executive board. We also need a building and grounds chair. Which again, don't be intimidated. Even though Jim is stepping back, he has said that he is available to help with the new chair. But again, this is a crucial part of making the church work, keeping the lights on literally. So we do need somebody to step up for that. Please talk to me or any board member. And Katie is going to talk about some more job openings.
Hello, I am here to talk about more job openings. The board is also looking for people who are willing to serve in the following committee roles. One member for the Personnel Committee. This committee meets around 6 times per year and is primarily responsible for policies and decisions relating to our paid staff. One member for the Nominating Committee, which is responsible for recruiting members to serve in various non-board appointed committee roles. That would be doing similar to what Becca was just doing, but it's recruiting people like Becca just did. We also need one member for Cosmic, which is the Committee on Shared Ministry in the congregation. This committee monitors how the congregation's ministerial needs are being met and helps mediate conflict when it arises. So if you like working with people, maybe have a social work or counseling background, that could be a great position for you. So if you are interested in any of those roles, you can talk to me, and you can also talk to Becca. She will let me know. Thank you.
On with more announcements. This Saturday is Aggressively Feminist Trivia Night. All are welcome. Marie Lowry, if you have any questions, is helping to run that. Donations of $10 are requested if you didn't pay at the auction. Next Sunday, we will be hosting a collaborative Sunday service with First UU Detroit and Northwest. This will be our third annual Transgender Day of Visibility service. If you are able, please consider parking in the business lot to the south so we can make space for everyone. Opportunities for connection this week are Monday night, there is choir, there's also an AA meeting. Tuesday, men's lunch, and also a fundraising committee meeting. See Kieran DeGay about the fundraising. Thursday, building and grounds meeting. Friday, crafters and community. Saturday, aggressively feminist trivia. We begin service by lighting the chalice, which is the symbol of the faith that we share, with the words from our mission statement. Please join in reading our mission statement in unison. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, and live with compassion. Our opening song is number 300 in the gray hymnals, With Heart and Mind. Please rise in body or spirit.
Sort of. Can you hear me through the mic? Okay.
I'll wait.
Okay. My name is Mary Lancina, she, her. I'm with the RE committee, and I'll be reading Odd Velvet today, written by Mary E. Whitcomb, illustrated by Tara Callahan King. We'll have the pictures up on the screen. On the first day of school, Velvet's classmates brought their teacher cinnamon tea, lace handkerchiefs, and heart-shaped boxes of potpourri. Velvet handed her teacher an egg carton filled with 7 rocks, her favorite red shoelaces, and half a sparrow's egg. Velvet was odd. At lunchtime, Velvet not only carried a used brown paper bag, but inside of it were things like carrots and a butter sandwich, and she ate them. At recess, a few of the girls noticed that Velvet was not wearing a new dress, even though it was the beginning of the school year. Where did she come from? They wondered out loud. All of this strangeness did not stop after the first day of school. In fact, it got worse. Velvet brought in a milkweed pod for show and tell. Luckily, 3 of the other girls brought in a talking doll, a wedding doll, and a crying doll, and saved the day. Velvet's nose was freckled, she had a pack of only 8 crayons, and her sweater once belonged to her older sister. Nothing was right about Odd Velvet. Although everyone was polite to her, no one was silly enough to pick Velvet for partner play or to walk home with her after school. No one wanted to be different the way Velvet was different. On the day of the school field trip, the children were laughing and calling each other by their nicknames. Someone called out, "What's your nickname, Velvet?" It got quiet as Velvet looked around. "I don't have one," she said, "but my father told me that on the day I was born, the sun was just rising over the mountains, and outside it looked as though the world had been covered with a blanket of smooth, soft lavender velvet." A few of the boys let out a giggle, but mostly the bus fell quiet. For a moment, everyone was thinking of how beautiful that morning must have been, the day Velvet was born. The following week, a school drawing contest was announced. There was no question who the winner would be. Sarah Garvey had the best markers, the biggest paint set, and more colored pencils than anyone else in the class. When the day arrived to announce the winner, the children let Sarah sit right up front. No one was more surprised than she was when the teacher called out Velvet's name. Velvet had drawn an apple. "It's just a piece of fruit," Sarah protested. Everyone stared at the picture. "It looks so real I would like to eat it," someone said. "It seems like you could pick it up," another child added. Sure enough, with just her 8 crayons, Velvet had drawn the most beautiful apple the children had ever seen. Little by little, the things that Velvet said and the things that Velvet did began to make sense. The teacher had Velvet speak for 2 whole days about her rock collection. She even had ashes from a real volcano. Still, on the day she handed out invitations to her birthday party, the whispering began. "I bet her house is old and dark," Sarah said. The thought of going to Velvet's house made everyone feel a little uneasy. Velvet lived in a tiny house at the end of a long road. There was no jungle gym or tetherball, just a tall swing hanging from a big old tree. At the door, Velvet's mom and dad politely asked the children in. There were no birthday magicians or wizards, not even a clown, but they got to turn Velvet's room into a castle. The royal subjects painted their faces and put glitter in their hair. They jumped high off the bed into a blue blanket moat. Velvet's sister made each of them golden crowns with colored jewels. They took turns wearing Velvet's royal cloak, which used to be a bed cover. They played cards and shot marbles. Velvet even showed them how to draw beautiful apples. On the last day of school, Velvet's classmates brought their teacher handfuls of flowers, cards that they had made, and an impressive collection of nice-looking rocks. Velvet was different, but maybe she wasn't so odd after all. The end.
Let us join in our children's recessional. If you have the banners, you could hold them up. I realize I made a mistake and forgot to tell Diana about this. Okay, that's fine. We don't have the song today. So, okay. So you go rejoice around.
Through the sharing of joys and sorrows, we make space every Sunday for authentic and vulnerable sharing, which helps to build this congregation into beloved community. You are invited to share what's going on in your life, to name your feelings and the people in your heart in need of prayer, good energy, best wishes, and other help. You are welcome to come pick up a stone or stones from the table, infuse or charge it with your joy or sorrow, and place it in the singing bowl, where its energy will ripple out to be held by all of us. If you'd like to verbally share something important on your heart, please come up and speak directly into the microphone. All are welcome to participate in any of these ways. That rest in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, one for the joys, one for the sorrows, and one for the strength of the gathered community that can support you and bring you peace.
And I would also like to add my own sorrow. I don't know. My dog, Letty, who those of you who know me know I'm madly in love with this dog. She had a cataract surgery on Thursday. So she's recovering. Some of the inflammation is coming down, but the big challenge at the moment is that she has to wear the cone for 2 weeks. And it's so she keeps walking into the back of us or knocking things over. Yes, poor Letty, but she's tolerating it pretty well. So, but you know, when your pets have a surgery, it's very challenging. So I appreciate your thoughts and prayers for her. So let's take a moment to bring our attention into this space. Notice where you're feeling your energy in your body. See if you can put your feet or your hands in a place that feels comfortable for you. Notice where you're feeling some tightness in yourself. Is it your chest? Or maybe your shoulders? Maybe you're bunching up tight. Notice that. Breathe into that space for yourself. Let's breathe in a deep, strong breath and hold it for a few seconds, and then let it go. And take another deep breath in. And slowly release. So our overall theme for this month is paying attention. So I wanted to bring to you this meditation by Scott Taylor that's called "Who We Listen to is Who We Become." So I encourage you to meditate on these words and imagine how you might experience this in your life. Let us turn inward in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Sometimes the world outside of us can be so loud, making it hard to hear those voices we once knew so well, voices that once knew us so well. And so, to silence, we turn, to listen for the echoes of memories that make us whole, the pain of others that reawakens our hearts, and the beauty of this wildly generous world that wants us back. This is the attention that saves us, heals us, opens us, and expands us. In the stillness of this space, let us not just listen for clarity and guidance, but to become larger in our hearts, larger in our understanding. Those voices whispering from deep within are not just calling us home, they are home. We must remember this. What we give our attention to is what we become. Yes, sometimes the world outside us can be so loud, leaving us lost, perhaps confusing us along the way. But the quiet always remains, waiting and willing to be our companion, gently calling us to shift our attention and reclaim ourselves. What are you paying attention to right now? And now. And now. Notice your attention. Thank your spirit for where it takes you, and bring your attention back to this time with all of us gathered here together. Let us take another moment to breathe in together. And release. Amen. Our meditation song is Lead Me, and the words are going to be up on the wall behind me, and we're going to sing through it twice. And is going to lead us.
Lead
Our offering words are by Kayla Parker. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May this offering sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregation. You may also give online via the QR code on the back of the order of service. The morning offering will now be gratefully received. Blessing that can be found in your order of service and behind me. To the work of creating beloved community within and beyond these walls, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings. This is a reading from the Letters to a Young Poet, letter number 4, by Rainier Maria Rilke, translated by Stephen Mitchell. Have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers, which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer.
In case this is your first time, or if you've been here on a Sunday when I haven't been, my name is Reverend Karen Madrone, and I have the honor of serving this congregation, and my pronouns are she, hers. And so today we are actually spending some time thinking about questions and answers. I have spent many, many years just studying the words from Rilke. They were given to me at a time in my life when I was going through what I would call one of my dark nights of the soul, when I was very much struggling around a decision that I felt like was the right one, but I struggled with a while. Like, is this the correct one? And because sometimes in life we make decisions that might cause pain to others. And is trying to live through that. And so a friend of mine sent me that quote, and it has lived with me all of these years, probably 20 years of always going back to Rilke's quote about learn to love the questions themselves instead of making it, we spend so much time being stressed about the questions, but what if we could learn to love them? I grew up in a world that was very black and white. There were absolutes with definite answers. You had to have answers. Answers was where things were. And so becoming a UU back in 2005 is, well, I officially joined my home congregation January 1st, 2006. I think becoming a UU is one of those things where, when did this actually happen? So I can say I joined my home congregation officially in 2006. So that's when I mark it. It took a lot of trust that it was okay to not have answers, because we don't really do answers. And I remember the very first UU minister I listened to way back then, that I listened to him for a couple of years, but you hear a lot of things, but this one sermon that he gave where he talked about ambiguity, and sometimes things that stick out for you are things because they annoy you or irritate you, right? So I don't remember a lot of his sermons, but I remember that one where I was like, I don't think I like this ambiguity business. No, that's not for me. But I finally realized that, well, ambiguity kind of gives you some freedom of not having absolute answers. I always tell people that I could give you a bazillion books on Unitarian Universalism, but experiential, that you have to keep staying in it even when you're uncomfortable. And so thankfully I was willing to stay in it. So seek answers everywhere, include everyone, live with compassion. This is the mission statement of UUCF that we read together every Sunday. If you haven't noticed that we do that every single week, no matter what. This is the mission statement that was created, from what I am understanding from when I've talked to people, with the usual dots and words kind of method on chart paper, where we, as a congregation, how are we going to do this? What I've been told was that it was created in 2014, so 12 years ago. A lot's happened in 12 years. I mean, I can't even, all the experiences that you all have experienced here. So I began serving this congregation of May of 2023. So I inherited this mission statement without any of the backstory for why did you guys come up with these particular words? What does this mean? And I always tell people that our documents are like an archaeological dig. There's always a reason behind, there's some story, there's something that caused these particular things to happen. So I don't know the story. I have no idea. And we don't really talk about it. So, but I know that I inherited this, and but I haven't, when I've mentioned it in committee meetings or whatever, then I try to mention it in terms of how are we actually living this mission statement? Is there accountability lines that we're saying we're doing this by doing this by doing these specific things? How are we tying it to something? But we don't. So I don't know. Why do we do this? It's a question. But I just kind of randomly ask at times, but it's okay. We don't really have a way that we tie it into to actually something that follows through, but we can actually kind of name things. If you ask questions like, how do we do this thing? And then people will say, particularly about living with compassion, I know we do that very, very well. And and we try to always be thinking on it, but we don't make it a focus. So as a clergy person who strongly believes in the importance of interfaith work, you're going to see what all of these things here are in a minute. I've been mulling over the seek answers everywhere aspect of the mission statement for a while, and I've been curious about what it means in this congregation specifically, because if you actually visit many other UU congregations, many of them will have something that shows interfaith, But this congregation has specifically put it on the walls and the stained glass. So that it's like saying we engage in pluralism in this really active way. But just the statement implies a certain level of curiosity. It kind of implies that we are willing to seek answers everywhere. And it's echoed in the banners, and at one point they were actually on like cards that were sent out, because it's unusual to have banners like this. Not that the rest of the UU world doesn't engage in pluralism, but this says it out loud. When people come in here and visitors walk in, when we show it to rentals, people notice this is different. And yet another aspect of the service, so when I have been kind of tweaking the service over the past couple of years, we've definitely left that statement. We just moved it to a different spot. If you notice, we moved it to the chalice lighting words. Another aspect of the service, though, that I didn't draw attention to, but changed without a lot of fanfare, was a line that used to be in the opening words that says, "We don't ask what you believe." I considered that statement to be in opposition to the line, "Seek answers everywhere," because I really, really believe that the words we say, the words that come out of our mouths, the words, what we expose ourselves to, all of that impacts the way we behave. And so I was interpreting, "We don't ask what you believe," to mean, and this is also how I experienced it, was that we are a community that we don't ask the person next to us or a person across the aisle from us or somebody who walked in the door, "What do you believe?" Because we don't ask. We just don't ask. So, and I think that from a positive spin on that was this idea of we don't discriminate against you based on what you believe. We don't make that a reason to not include you. But the statement was, we don't ask what you believe. So I removed that line, and without actually saying why I did it, but just because if we want to have a positive, then we need to try to take away some of the behavior in a different way. So if we truly believe in religious diversity and religious pluralism, and pluralism in our UU world means that we are open to engaging, and that people here in this room could be representing many different types of faiths. And we don't say when you join a UU church that you have to leave whatever beliefs you had beforehand, because we know we're humans and we carry our stories and our beliefs with us all the time. We don't say none of those things you can do, but we bring all of this to you. If we really believe that, then we need to be able to have an honest dialogue with each other about what it is that we believe. What is your relationship with the divine? Sometimes, like when we do a memorial service, people might even have conversations with each other about, what do you believe about the afterlife? Or things like, what helps us to have courage on a dark day? Or what is actually bringing you joy right now? Even these kinds of questions, and it might be something spiritual, or it might not. But being able to have these kinds of deeper conversations because we're willing to actually go a little bit further. So I wanted to tell you that this sermon today actually came about because this past fall and the one before that, so in 25, 24, then we started this practice of a question box service. And so what that means is that we had people fill out cards that ask questions, and then myself and one other person would try to answer these questions, which was really intimidating because for many of you, you already know I don't really do answers. So like, I don't know, they're gonna ask questions, we'll see what happens. So after last fall service, during coffee hour, one of our members, Aaron Haskins, he approached me and said, 2 years in a row, you haven't answered my question. I was surprised because since I'm not the one who filters the questions, it was usually the service leader, I didn't know. And because, of course, you obviously can't get to all of the questions in the 20 minutes. And so I asked him, like, what is the question? And I don't know. So he said his question was, if we seek answers everywhere, if we actually do this thing, how do we know where to look? How do we know which answers are for us? At least this is what I remember from our conversation last fall. In the moment of the conversation, I was taken aback because truly I haven't heard many conversations here specifically about the mission statement. What does seek answers everywhere actually mean? But I was intrigued, especially that the questions came from a relative newcomer to UUism and UUCF specifically. I told Aaron that I would give it some thought and do a sermon about this at some point. So here is my attempt at seek answers everywhere when I don't really do answers. So how do you know where to look for answers? Obviously, this being a Unitarian Universalist congregation, the question is about each of you individually, not about some faith statement. There is nobody from any organization that tells you specifically, or us, where to find these answers. Because of these banners, we don't tell people the answers are in this book or this faith or that faith. No, what we are hoping to do as a faith is to help people think critically about what questions do I have? What does it matter? What am I personally attracted to in terms of something that works for me? So I can't tell you as a group or as a faith exactly where to find the answers because I don't know what your questions are. What are your questions? That is something I feel like is kind of missing from the Seek Answers Everywhere. What questions are we trying to answer? I don't know. And many of you come with your own questions. Many people come to Unitarian Universalism, especially if it's been a while since they've been in a church of any kind, carrying questions for many, many years. So they're all going through their own struggle. What questions do I have? And when they come in the door wondering, is this a place that is going to keep from telling me what the answers are? Because they've been in those places, right? You've been in those places where nobody likes to be told exactly what the answers are, but they like a discussion, because I think people like to be introduced to things, but they don't want to say exactly what it is. So I thought I would share some guidelines that I consider for myself, particularly about religious beliefs, from being exposed to a wide variety of spiritual and religious diversity because I specifically, not wise financially, chose a interfaith seminary in New York City. I wanted to be exposed to people who were very different from me. And so in that particular seminary, Unitarian Universalists, we were definitely the minority. We were like 10 out of like 300. But you have to know who you are. And this is why I think it's important to put yourself in situations where you are the minority. And that also helps you to be clear about what is it I believe and be open to some other points of view. I also make it a point to read and listen to a wide variety of authors from Christian, Buddhist, and Jewish perspectives. I have to admit I haven't done as much reading about Islam or Islam authors, but I'm definitely open to reading and learning. So first, I recommend, again, getting comfortable with the questions. Our larger culture and mainstream Christianity, mainstream religions, especially talk about the need to have answers. We are told that ambiguity and not having things figured out, not just that we don't have it figured out, but we have it that there's something wrong with you as a person if you personally don't have things figured out. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's just baloney because that has nothing to do with your personal worth, right? We believe that our personal worth is not tied to having things figured out because we all go through times in our lives when we're struggling. What do I believe? What is the next answer? I don't know, but we just keep staying in let's just keep muddling through until a new way appears. And that is one of the reasons why I hesitate to tell you where to find answers. However, sometimes answers are needed, obviously, especially when we have come to major life decisions. So if you're going to practice, because like I talk about a lot about practicing a spiritual life, a personal growth life, you have to keep practicing. And so it's whether like even make it really low stakes. This is just something I'm continually doing. You need to have curiosity and humility. You must have the ability to practice what we touched on a little bit last week, the ability to realize that you could be wrong about something, and or the ability to see issues from a different perspective without insisting that you personally are right. That's a hard one, because we humans have been told that we're right. We've been told that the world revolves around us, but it actually doesn't. This is a huge task for personal growth. Many of us came from communities that had to be absolute right or wrong, but that is not the world that UUs tend to live in. So for advice myself on seeking some answers, I read the book. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I highly recommend this book by Barbara Brown Taylor, and the book is called Holy Envy. Barbara Brown Taylor was an Episcopal priest for 15 years, and then she began teaching religion, a Religion 101 class at a community college. Through teaching religion to these particular students, because they were doing it because it was a requirement. Anybody ever taken a class just because it was a requirement? Yeah. And maybe you didn't really want to be there, you came in with your own preset notions. Well, so did she in actually teaching it. She thought, this is, well, I'm going to go through these series of things. But then she came to learn that she herself changed, because that's what happens when you teach something, right? You're always impacted by what you're teaching. She came to realize the ways that because she had been an Episcopal priest for so long, that was the lens she saw the world in. So of course the public school holidays were built around Christian holidays, right? Right? Well, guess what? That's not the only holidays in the world, are they? No. She came to understand how she had been saying things incorrectly, things that she had learned about that she was teaching that was actually harmful to Jewish people, and she had no idea. But she was willing to listen and be willing to, when somebody says, hey, this thing that you keep repeating, that's actually harmful to me. Wow. You have to have that humility to step back and notice, I might be causing harm to somebody. So in Holy Envy, Brown Taylor, she shares about the term itself, where that comes from. She writes, when I finally take time to find out where the phrase holy envy comes from, I traced it back to a biblical scholar named Krister Stendahl, a former dean of the Harvard Divinity School. Stendahl left Harvard for Sweden to be the Bishop of Stockholm. He became aware that there was mounting opposition to a Mormon temple being built in Stockholm, which was unusual because Stockholm is usually open, but for whatever reason there was opposition. He started publicly supporting the Mormons and the building of their temple. At a press conference prior to the dedication of the building, Stendahl aimed to diffuse tension by proposing 3 rules of religious understanding, which have by now made the rounds more often than much of the rest of his scholarly work. So here is the most common version of what he said. It's one of those things when people quote things, then this is the summary. Number 1, when trying to understand another religion, you should ask the adherents of that religion and not its enemies. So if you're trying to learn about Islam, don't go to the people who are anti-Islam, obviously. Don't compare your best to their worst, because it's easy to find out the worst. But what if you actually sat down with people who actually followed that particular religion and it has a positive impact on them? What if you could actually do that? And then finally, leave room for holy envy. So this is the first person that kind of wrote this down. So Brown Taylor states that when she read the statement about holy envy, she contemplated for a while, because Stendahl doesn't say what he meant by that. Over time, through field trips and interactions with her students, with an open heart and a willingness to be present, she learned about holy envy from a positive standpoint. Now, we have to be careful, because in the UU world, we tend to do things that could be considered appropriation. So there's a difference between appreciating and saying it's ours, doing the thing that doesn't actually belong to us. So we can have to be open. So she talks about, in her experience of learning, of being able to appreciate that Muslims and Jews have specific times during the day for prayer. The intentionality of it. because in the Christian world that she had, and it's only much later that I've learned that there are other Christian groups that have like what's called the hours that I didn't know about until I went to seminary, that there are different ways that people can organize their day that builds in intentionality. Obviously, things about food. Like, what would happen if you spent the day thinking, I am not going to eat these particular things, and then how that impacts the decisions that you make, and how that impacts the world around you. You also can be somebody like she talks about, like with the Buddhists who are not interested in converting you. Because in the Christian world that she grew up, it was all about conversion, right? She spent time with Buddhists and going to Buddhist monks, and they're like, here's information, but in no way do they say, come join us. They just don't, because it's not a competition. She noticed within herself questioning the faith that she espoused for many, many years. Obviously, she was an Episcopal priest for 15 years, but also a new awareness of what she appreciated as well. Being able to truly seek answers everywhere requires being able to hold your beliefs lightly. Like they cannot be everything. Knowing they are not the end-all, be-all forever and always, because nothing ever is. Everything changes, right? Everything. Even our own belief systems could change. So going back to Erin's questions, if we seek answers everywhere, how do we know where to look? How do we know which answers are for us? I believe that we pay attention to what we are paying attention to, just like the meditation before. What are you actually noticing? What is coming up for you repeatedly? What are the books that you are drawn to? What are the movies that you're drawn to? What is the music that you like put on repeat? I wonder what that's about. Maybe there's something in there for me to notice, something I'm having some kind of response to that. I wonder what this is about from a curiosity standpoint, not a this is wrong or this is right, but I wonder why I keep having this response. Asking, can I give myself the space to explore this further? So example, with Judaism in particular, honoring the Sabbath. Can you give yourself one day, I don't know, if a week is too much, maybe a month, maybe every other month, to have a complete Sabbath, no work at all. I think that is a practice that is available to all of us if you are open. So there's a practice, but also whenever I have done that, I never believe or say I'm doing this because I'm Jewish. I am not Jewish. I'm very clear I'm not Jewish. But that doesn't mean that we can't appreciate and practice some things that are available in other faith traditions. For example, again, with Judaism, I really believe in the practice in the fall with the High Holy Days of kind of reviewing our life. What have I done well this past year? What do I need to make amends for? I think that's a big thing that's missing in the UU world. We could all build in time for that, but that doesn't mean that we have decided we are Jewish. There's a difference. So, but we can still appreciate and respond to, and knowing that there is some truth for that. So I thought I would show you a few symbols that I think almost all of these are in our building. And so this is a cross that was actually in the Marge Brown room. This is my own personal chalice that was actually made by our music director back at my home church, so it has a little tea light in the back. This is the menorah that we actually have 2 of them here in our building. This is the Seder plate that we've used the last couple of years. This is the Bible, both the Hebrew scriptures and the New Testament. Another important thing that I learned in seminary, kept referring to the first part of the book as the Old Testament. Thankfully, I had people who were like, no, that's not right, because it's the Hebrew scriptures. So if you hear that, then that gives him information. But that's because it was very Christian oriented, the world I grew up in. We have many Qurans in this building. Some are like really big. We have a huge Bible in the Marge Brown room, and it's always something I'm curious about. Where and how did all of these items, there's a story behind it. So I want to mention all of these, and I think the most important, these are something that I got many, 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 many years ago that I hold on to. because I think it's important to not take your faith so seriously. These are what my wife and I refer to as Dashboard Jesus, and this is the Dashboard Buddha. And so got this at a novelty store many, many years ago, and you can put them on your dashboard, obviously, and they flop around. Because this is not a way to make fun of, but to say, I appreciate this, what can I learn from? But it's also not like so serious, because your life is always changing. You are always changing. And so whether it's Unitarian Universalism or Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, or Judaism, knowing that there are many variations also within each. There is not, just the congregations that we know of, even just within the Unitarian Universalism, there are many, many different ways that our congregations live their faith. We are not all one, just like how Christianity is not all one, Islam is not all one, etc. You have to be open to the person, be willing to listen and learn, but also asking yourself, am I open to questions? What are the questions I actually have? Am I willing to stay with those questions? And to not let the questions drive you crazy while you're at it, because it can just make you nuts if you spend too much time only focused on one thing. How can you have a balance in between? Thinking on what method appeals to you to ponder the questions, because of when it's your own path. So what kind of questions do you have? What are the methods that you use? Perhaps you're a meditator, perhaps you're a walker, perhaps you're somebody who listens to classical music. What are the ways that appeal to you so that you personally can live into the questions and seek answers everywhere in the way that matters to you? Amen. And now we're going to close out our service in a song that I actually, before I came here, I thought I knew most of our music, and then I learned from Marie the song number 291. Say it for me, Marie. Yes, thank you. I think this is a really, really important song, especially now with living in an authoritarian world that wants to tell us what to believe and where thoughts come from. We are responsible for our own thoughts, and no one can take that away from us. And you're welcome to join in body. Please join in our chalice extinguishing words. If you want to, we extinguish this chalice with an open heart. We are building a better world together. We are becoming better people together. We are living our lives together. We don't have to do it alone.